All right. So welcome to our webinar on why bad things happen to good people. We're going to cover karma. We're going to cover death. We're going to cover rebirth, reincarnation, and the mechanics of what really happens at the time of death and beyond, and how we can impact our destiny and how we can impact those that have left us. Little bit introduction about myself. I have been an entrepreneur all my life, a tech entrepreneur, while studying in the US at the Illinois Institute of Technology. Started my first startup at the age of 19, uh, built it to $1 million valuation by I was 22. At the same time, my spiritual journey started. So I live a dual life, you could say. One part of me is a monk, the other part of me is a CEO. Built these businesses, been honored by California State Senate, TED Talks, creating, helping startups create jobs for India, advising the Prime Minister of Nepal. I also am a guest lecturer at IITs and IIMs and US University. And everything I do really has the spirituality element embedded into it. So my goal is not to be in the cave in the Himalayas and just be spiritual myself, but to be out in the work field, in the battleground, if I may say so, and show by real example how spirituality can empower us to be the best versions of ourselves, to be successful, to be a successful father, husband, wife, daughter, son, CEO, employee, etc. Whatever we want to be in our lives, how to be successful using spirituality. And spiritually speaking, why should you listen to me? So I come from a line of Guru Shishya Parampara, disciplic succession, coming all the way from Lord Krishna, Lord Brahma, Narad Muni, all the way down to Srila Prabhupada, which is today called ISKCON. And I received my initiation several years ago from my guru, who is in that line. And all the knowledge that I'm going to share with you is coming through that authorized line of what is officially called the Brahma Madhava Gauriya Sampradaya. All right. So the first thing about Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna starts speaking in chapter 2, he talks about the distinct difference between body and soul, right? So in our life, we come to certain situations where we ask ourselves, who am I? Why am I suffering? Why is this happening to me? And we all have different identifications. I am a student. I am Indian. I'm a man. I'm fair. I'm dark. I'm ugly. I'm pretty. I'm tall. I'm short. I'm doctor. I'm engineer. I'm an entrepreneur. Whatever that might be, right? We all have identifications, and these, according to the Bhagavad Gita, are false identifications, if I may say so. Actually, before I go further into this topic, I wanted to ask all of you, because most of you are people I don't know. Do you want me to be devotional, like quoting Sanskrit and really talking deeply devotionally? Or do you want me to be more practical, more on the side of, things that are more daily life? Speak more practical, both, whichever. Practical. Okay, everybody wants me to be practical. So I would be, 40% devotional, 60%, very, very specific. Okay, most people want me to be practical. Fine, I won't be quoting too many scriptures. So we'll stay, I'll make it as simple as possible so that we can understand it and apply it practically in our life. So this is who we think we are. So when you cut out the flesh as a man or a woman, we look the same, almost the same internally. And this is who we think we are. In Bhagavad Gita language, this is earth, water, fire, air, fire, and ether or space. So these are the 5 elements that this body is made up of. Now, of course, if you go to the scientific side of things, there's calcium, potassium, magnesium, there's water, there's iron, there is all the different earthly materials in this body. This body is made up of that. And we both know body is born, body dies, right? And what we're getting at is we are not this body. We are not this identification with matter. But beyond the body, there is something more. There's a mind, manaha, buddhi, intelligence. and ahankar, or false ego, or the false sense of identity, which is what I was showing here, the false sense of identity, right? Whatever you think you are, it's a false sense of identity, because none of those are who we are. Then who are we? Well, first of all, let's be clear. I'm not this body, right? I'm not this, whatever this body is worth, $20 worth of metals and elements and whatnot. According to the Bhagavad Gita, I am spirit soul, part of the divine. So the body is born, it grows up, it matures, it becomes old, eventually it dies. And as you can see, the spark, that soul, that's the person we are, that's a conscious being, is traveling through body to body to body to body. And it eventually, when it's dead, it moves on to another body, takes another birth, and moves on. And infinitely, it is going from one body to another. Even in this life, we are going from one body to another. How? Look at your baby pictures. It will be very clear, right? If you see your baby pictures, you won't be able to recognize, right? Is that really you? So every 7 years, all the cells in our body are replaced. That means we have a new body every 7 years. And this is according to modern science. It might be plus minus, maybe 7 years for some, 8 years for some. But the point is, all the cells in the body is changing, but we are still us. I am who I am, the conscious being that I feel, I exist, I am awareness, I experience, I feel happiness, I feel joy, my memories, everything. That is constant, that's who I am, the body is changing, right? So like that, eventually this body will die. But that sense of I exist, and I will continue to exist, right? That I is the conscious being having a human experience. It might have had a dog experience in the past, might have had a bird experience in the past, and etc. And what we do right now, that's our karma. The karma that we build right now will define the kind of experience we'll have after this body, whether it will be a devata body in the Swargalok, where you can be Chandra, Varuna, Surya, any of those personalities, or will it be the body of a sparrow, or body of an earthworm, or body of a tiger? What we do, what actions we take, what choices we make defines the kind of body we get. For example, if you go to the gym and eat the right food, you will have the right kind of well-built body. If you are like me and eat, not the healthiest foods, you will be plump. So that's how it works, right? So what you do, the choices you make, is the kind of body you get. Similarly, the choices you make in this life and the desires you harbor in this life defines the kind of body that you get in your next life. In fact, it defines the kind of consciousness that you evolve into in this life, and that continues through to the next life. There are lots of questions coming in. Let me just quickly pause and see if there's anything I can practical. Okay, my native is in Vrindavan, residing in Pune. Wow, Pavan, you're very fortunate. Manisha, why human souls not get only human body? Manish, we're going to go deep into that, answer that question. Pradipto, sir, is it we are all the same age? Since the time of Big Bang, we existed. Oh, we have existed before Big Bang also, Pradipto. But yes, the point is we are all the same age. Very good. Very good conclusion, actually. We have all existed always. We are eternal beings having a human experience. So yes, we are all the same age. Now, how do we know we're not this body? Now you would say, give me empirical evidence. So there are thousands and thousands of cases of near-death experience where people have come close to death. That means the heart has stopped. And this is very common. You can talk to doctors. I don't know if there are any doctors here, but surgeons and whatnot on the operating table. This is a specific example. This lady, her heart stopped for, I think, some 8 seconds or something. And she could see, later on, they put a defibrillator, they brought her back to life. But the thing is, later on, she was clinically dead. Later on, when she came to life and she was in consciousness, she actually lived to tell the story, and she still is alive. You can go on YouTube and see. Just search near-death experience hospital bed. You'll find her. So she lived to tell the story. She found herself leaving her body, and, looking down at her body, going out of the room and seeing who's outside in the waiting area. She could hear what the doctors and the nurses are talking about, right? So when she came back to her body and started, talking, and she was conscious, she could describe all of those in great details. She knew which relatives were outside, which she's not supposed to know, right? When she's clinically dead, and that also in the operating theater, she knew who was outside. She knew what the doctors and nurses were talking about, right? All the details, clear cut, she could understand. And there are so many such cases. If you go online, you will find them. So near death experiences really also is a great proof. And there are many other scientific evidences I'm going to give you as we go through. I'm not going to throw all of them at you at once. But the point is, we are not this body. There is a distinct difference between who we are. It's kind of like Transformers, you're inside this machine. Krishna says, Jantra Rurhani Mayaya, right? Yantras, this is actually a yantra, this is actually a machine within which we reside. And then when the machine becomes unusable, we move on. So this is the basic premise before we move into karma, reincarnation, and all of that. I want to pause here and see if you guys understand this, if this is clear or you feel this is not clear. In the chat section, you can let me know. Clear till now. Okay, awesome. Yeah, good. Because this is the base. If this is not clear, whatever I say in the down the line will not be clear at all. So we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. Now, moving on from this. So it's clear that it doesn't just begin at birth and end at death. This is not the case. Well, the reason why I put this slide is because this is how my spiritual journey actually started. When I was a 5-year-old kid, I asked my father, is there life beyond death? And he said, no, you're born at birth, you die, and that's it. And my mother said that there is a lot more to it than just this life. And as a 5-year-old, I started meditating. I started asking questions. I started trying to figure out who's right, my father or mother. And after reading lots of books, and finally the Bhagavad Gita, I had to go to America to actually get the Gita and read it and get a mentor, and finally came to the understanding that, oh my God, there is so much more than just birth and death, right? So now that we understand we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, we'll delve into the laws governing karma, time, and destiny, right? So think of it, the yellow and orange, this band that you see. This band, think of it as the eternal timeline. You see the arrows going both ways? It's the eternal timeline. And you see there are blocks and chunks. So those blocks and chunks are your lifetime. In some lifetime, you've lived a long life, some a short life, some average life, but those are your lives, one after another. And the karma timeline is at point A, you make a choice, and that choice stays with you, right? You can get a reaction immediately, or you can get a reaction a few days later, or you can get a reaction one lifetime later or several lifetimes later. For example, if you rob a bank, you won't get caught immediately, right? But after maybe a month, 6 months, the authorities will find you, and there will be consequences. So, but 6 months later, if you cheat someone, they might not know in this lifetime, but it is being accounted for. Paramatma in the heart, super soul in the heart, is taking notes. It is being recorded, and you will have to pay for it. So every single act that you make, the choices you make, justice is being served. Whatever situation we are in is because of what we have done in the past. The choices we made in the past has created the circumstance we have right now. Right now, we are in that position that we have some choices. Like this Sunday evening, you have the choice to watch Netflix. You have the choice to go. Okay, maybe we don't have the choice to go out and party, but because it's pandemic. But the point is, we have choices to spend these 2 hours in some way or form. But this 100 of you have chosen to be here and learn about the secrets of life. So that's how you define how the rest of your life is going to be, because you made a choice today, and many who didn't. So the point is, choices that we make today define the next circumstance we get, right? And based on that, we make more choices. That's how destiny is being created. We are engineering our own destiny by every choice, and not making a choice is also a choice. You see somebody is getting robbed, or some woman is getting raped, and you don't say anything. You don't call the police. You don't take any action. Inaction is also a choice, and there is a price to pay for that. For example, when Draupadi was being disrobed, there are many who did not say a word. Bhishma Dev didn't say a word, although he's such a great personality, right? The Pandavas, they were shameful, but they couldn't do anything. They had no choice. But there are people who had choice. They didn't say a word. Each one of them were killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, right? All those people who had a choice to do something but didn't do it. A woman was being disrobed and disrespected, and they all had to end their lives, although they were great personalities. So inaction is also action. So karma is very strict, it's very specific, and it's very, very just, right? So what we get is very customized to our actions and our choices. A lot of questions coming in. Pawan Goswami, true, but past karma prevailing and present karma helps very little by observation. Deepak Agarwal, how can a same soul be doing good when one body does bad, when the body changes? So there is the body, this body, which is actually a machine. And then there's a software. There's a hardware and the software. The software is a mind, intelligence, and ego that I showed you in that slide, right? The software is a subtle body, Sukshma Deha. The subtle body is where we are making these choices, where we are acting out of our desires, free will, and we are making choices. And the subtle body, the software is telling the hardware, do this. The mind is telling the hand, slap this person. Or the mind is saying, serve food to the poor or the needy. Right? The intelligence is figuring out ways to satisfy the mind's desire. So understand there's a software and there's a hardware, right? It's not the body that's acting. It's the mind that is acting here. The mind is acting. And the soul is just a conscious being. The soul is asleep in our conditioned state. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, we will be able to understand how to wake up the soul and actually make choices rather than listen to the mind, right? Shashank is saying, if someone hurts me, is it bad karma? Or is this bad karma accumulated by him? It's both. Somebody's hurting you because they're sad, they're frustrated in their life. So that's their karma they're suffering. And you're getting hurt because, of course, it's your karma you're suffering. You must have done the same thing to somebody else. Now, that doesn't mean you don't retaliate. If somebody loots you, you don't say, oh, it's my karma, I got looted. No, you go to the police and you file a FIR and you want to make sure justice is being served. Karma cannot be used as an excuse to hurt people. That's why Bhagavad Gita is being spoken, because people can misuse this. But the point is, don't use karma to be a victim. Don't use karma to cause others to be victim. But you need to know that what is happening is because of what has happened in the past. But that doesn't mean this has to perpetuate, right? Okay, I know a lot of questions are coming, but I'm going to keep going so things get clearer. So like that, every moment we are making choices, and every choice is leading to reactions. So there's action, reaction, action, reaction, action, reaction, just like Newton's law. And that's basically karma, right? So everything we do, every moment, every action is being noted, and we are getting the reaction for it. And birth after birth, that continues. It's a continuum, right? You see the infinite in the middle. Infinitely, we're taking birth, there's death, there's birth, there's death, and constantly there is choices. Now, these choices are only made in the human form of life. Let me be very clear. As an animal, a tiger doesn't have the choice to eat fruits. So the tiger is going to eat meat. And a cow doesn't choose to eat meat. It is going to eat grass. So the point is, animals do not have so-called choices. They have instincts and they play out whatever is in their karma. So you're accruing karma in the human form of life, and you're expending karma in other forms of life. I'm going to repeat myself. You accrue karma only in the human form of life, and you expend karma in all other forms of life. That means, okay, to give an example, I'm going to be very tongue-in-cheek. Let's say you like to sleep a lot, 14 hours a day, let's say, right? I know some friends of mine who like to sleep that long. And that means you have a desire. I wish I could just sleep all day. You might have that desire, and Krishna fulfills those desires. So in next life, you might be born as a polar bear, and you might be hibernating for, I don't know, 6 months, and then staying awake for 6 months. There are many animals do that, right? They sleep for 6 months, like Kumbhakarna. They sleep for 6 months and they stay awake for 6 months. So that's the kind of life form you get, because in the human form of life, you won't be able to fulfill that desire of sleeping all the time. So you get that life form. Or you like to eat a lot of meat. Fine, you get the life form of a tiger or a lion or a carnivore. So you can eat meat to your satisfaction, right? So whatever desires we have, accordingly, the kind of body is given to us so that we can fulfill that desire to the fullest. But know that in that body, you don't have the free will to make choices. So you're not getting any karma for killing a deer or whatever else, right? But there is evolution. So you might be an ant, but eventually, life after life, you evolve and come back to the human form of life. And again, you get another chance after many, many lifetimes. You get a chance in the human form of life to accrue karma or to break out of this karmic cycle and go back and get liberation, go back home to where we belong in the spiritual world and get liberation, right? So this is the only life form where we can ask higher questions. Why am I suffering? Why is there injustice? Is there God? Can I see God? Can I find God? These questions animals don't ask. And if humans don't ask these questions, they're living an animalistic life. So as human beings, we ask these questions. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that when you ask these questions, dadami buddhi yogam tamyena mam upayantite, that I give you the buddhi yogam, I give you the intelligence by which you can find these answers through the scriptures, through guru, through a mentor, right? And thereby you can understand what is the purpose of life, how to live this life, and how to find true happiness. I know a lot of questions are coming in, but I'm going to keep going and we're going to pause after a while. So that's what's happening. Life after life, we're born and we're dying, we're born, we're dying. And eventually, but it's important to understand that all living beings are, in one sense, temples of God. We are parcels of God, but also God resides within us. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 18, Krishna says, Pandita Samadarshana. You see, with a Pandit with equal vision sees an elephant, a Brahmana, a dog, a cow, a Chandala, whoever, they see with equal vision, because God is residing as Paramatma within every living entity. So we don't even kill an ant. We don't even kill a mosquito. We respect all life forms, because in all life forms, there is presence of God that is there, right? So there is soul, there's us, and there is super soul. There's Atma, there's Paramatma, side by side in every living entity. This is very beautiful. I'm just going to pause and appreciate this, because if really we can all be in this consciousness, there is no racism, there is no casteism, there is no ageism, there is no religious discrimination. All of these things go away when we realize, regardless of religion, caste, creed, nationality, we are all parts and parcels of God. We are all brothers and sisters, right? That's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. That's the beauty of Sanatan Dharma. Anyway, going back to the topic of karma. So according to the Vedic classification, there are 8.4 million species of life, right? And the breakup is given to you: 900,000 aquatics, 2 million plants, trees, and grass. So humans, if you see, there are 4 lakh or 400,000 species of humans that are given. Now, in planet Earth, this is interesting for those of you interested in UFOs and aliens and things like that. Because in planet Earth, you only find few different variations of humans. There's the Chinese, the Indians, the Caucasians, the Africans. Maybe at most 10 different variations of human species. But here it says 4 lakh because there are other planetary systems, not just planets, but planetaries. There are 14 planetary systems, and there are different species of humans. The Devatas, for example, right, that we worship, the Chandra, Varuna, Surya, personalities like that, they are having subtle forms. They are a different species. Lord Brahma, his body is made of intelligence, right? So there are different lokas, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, like that. There are different lokas where different kinds of bodily forms are found. Surya Loka, in sun, there are actual living entities. Now you will be like, this guy's totally gone mad. But that's what, according to our scriptures, that's what it says. And there, the bodies are made up of fire majorly. Here, on Earth planet, our bodies are majorly made of earth, right? So, like I said, earth, water, fire. Fire is also there. There's temperature, right? But fire is not the main element in this body. But in the sun planet, if I may say so, the major element there is fire. In other planets, the major element is something else. So like that, there are various variations of species of humans alone, 400,000 species of humans. And so 8.4 million. So according to your karma, you get one life form that is part of one of these 8.4 million species of life. Now, let's talk about what happens at the time of death and after death. It's very, very interesting, right? So like I gave you the near-death experience kind of example, let me actually talk about this in some kind of story form. So at the time of death, right, those who have been in near-death experience obviously talk about that this out-of-body experience, the soul leaves the body, and you still have the senses. You can actually see, hear things, right? So when the soul leaves the body, there are a few options. One option is if you've done really bad stuff, there is something called the Yamadutas, according to Srimad Bhagavatam. They come from Yamraj's planet, which is Patal Lok, down there, lower planetary systems. So they come from Yamlok, and they drag the subtle body. Remember the Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, mind, intelligence, ego. So there is a gross body, this machine, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and there is a mind, intelligence, ego. So the mind, intelligence, ego encapsulates the soul, and it travels from one body to another. That's the part that's traveling. This body stays back, we burn it, we bury it, or whatever else happens. But the subtle body, the Sukshma Deha, as it's called, moves from one body to another body. Now, those who are done really terrible things, right? For them, the Yamadutas come. The Yamadutas take those subtle bodies down to Yamraj. They are judged, and they go to hellish planets, and they're born in really terrible circumstances, and they suffer. But it's not eternal damnation, unlike Christianity or Islam or Judaism, where they say you're eternally damned forever in hell. That's not the Sanatan view. That's not the karmic view. Karma means you've done bad karma. There's a time period for that bad karma to get dissolved. So you get some punishment for the bad things. Maybe somebody murdered someone and you got away with murder. You didn't get any punishment, but there is punishment waiting, right? And that's what's happening. So down the line there, one gets punished. And once the punishment is over, they get another opportunity to come back to maybe the human form of life. And again, there's a new opportunity. So Krishna or God is unlimitedly merciful. So we are given unlimited opportunities to correct our mistakes. Of course, we suffer for our stupidity, for our mistakes, and we enjoy for our good things. But we are given that opportunity again to come back in this precious human form of life and make our choices. Either we can be spiritually alive and go back home, back to Godhead, or we can continue with our nonsense and keep playing in this material world. And this will become more clear as I go through. So what happens after death, right? This is you, or this is us, let's say. Now, you do okay karma, some good things, some bad things, you get a human life. Man, woman, depends, I'll give a nice story here. Oh, you know what? I have to tell you some stories. So death stories, right? Near-death experience stories. These are within the devotee community. So there was this person who had received the book called Sri Ishopanishad. It's one of the Upanishads. So this person received this book, and there's a beautiful picture of Lord Vishnu on the book. And he read the book. He didn't understand the intricate philosophy, and he kept the book aside. And somehow, after a few days, he was holding on to the book, and he was thinking, I want to read this book. I want to pursue this. Well, maybe later. And suddenly, he started hearing his name. There were a couple of individuals who he cannot see, but he kept on hearing his name, and they're talking about his life history. They're describing what he has done in his life. And he was like, even he himself didn't remember a lot of the things that they were mentioning. And he was like, what is happening? And they mentioned, we have come to take you, And he realized these are death messengers. He immediately took that book, took shelter. And this is happening in Europe. This is not Indian, right? And he found the temple address, and he went to the local temple and became a devotee, and he was saved. He took shelter of Krishna. Another example was this girl. She born in a Vaishnava family, born to devotee parents, but she somehow didn't accept Krishna consciousness, Vedic life. And by the time she was a teenager, she was doing drugs. She left home. She was living with other guys, doing illicit sex and all kinds of things. And it was a very, weird, unfortunate life she was living. Eventually, she got depression, and eventually one day she decided to jump and end her life. She jumped from a 3-story building, but it was very fortunate for her that she fell in a dumpster, and she almost broke every bone in her body, but she didn't die. She was in the hospital. She was in coma. And eventually, her parents were chanting Hare Krishna for her. They were praying for her. And eventually, she came back to her senses. And when she came back to her senses, she described that she saw these death messengers, Yamraj, as I was talking about. And she described them in the exact same way the Bhagavatam describes. And she said, I saw them. And they said, you have done some pious activities as a child, so we won't take you. But the things you have done, you're worthy of taking to lower planets. And once she came back to her life and senses, she didn't go back to that life of drugs and sex and whatever else she was doing. She is now a practicing devotee, living in a very wonderful life with her husband, an initiated devotee, and living a wonderful life. Another example, this is in New York City. This is a Gujarati couple. The husband, he was not an atheist, but agnostic. And the wife was a devout theist, living a very pious Vaishnav life, following principles and everything else. And this man got into some disease, and he was hospitalized. So at the time of death, we invite sadhus to come and do some prayers for the departing soul. So one such sadhu, his name is Badrinath Maharaj, he was invited. And he held this man's hand and said, you have supported your wife. You've never stopped her from becoming a devotee of Krishna. So just take shelter of Krishna. As this last stage of life has come, take shelter of Krishna. And as Maharaj was holding this person, the sannyasi was holding this man's hand and telling him this, he slept into coma. For 7 days and nights, this man was in coma. So, Gujaratis, they are all over the world. So all these people started flying in, and, they were offering their respects, and they were chanting God's name. They were doing kirtan for this man, because the life is still there. The soul is in the body, although he's in coma, the soul is there. 7 days later, this man wakes up from his coma, and it says, they were there. I said, what? Who was there? Oh, your relatives. Yeah, they were here. Everybody's happy. This man has come back from this comatose stage. So it's like, they were here, the ugly ones. What do you mean with the ugly ones? Oh, look. Oh, they have copper-colored hair. They have big teeth. And that's how the Bhagavatam describes the Yamadutas. So he saw the Yamadutas. They came to take him 4 times. He said, they came to my hospital bed 4 times. And I told them, I've taken shelter of Krishna. And they went away 4 times. And the 4th time was just now. Just now they came to take me. And I said, I've taken shelter of Krishna. Go away. And they went away. So, he still lived to tell the story. The point is, there are many such stories I can share with you, people who are alive to tell the story, actually. And that's the beauty of this, that this is not mythology. This is actual reality. But of course, since modern science has not come to understand this reality, we as educated persons think that this is not something we can agree upon, but there is plenty of evidence. Okay. Have I lost anyone? Is everyone still there with me? Some of you thinking I'm gone crazy? Everybody okay with me so far? Just say yes. Okay. All right. Awesome. Love it. Amazing. Okay. Good. I'm happy. I thought by now people would be like, this guy's like complete mad. Okay. All right. So as a soul, if you get a human body, you can be born as a man or as a woman. Now, within ISKCON, we had, this is the last story, I promise. At ISKCON, we actually had a person in the London temple. He was having an affair with a woman, and he was supposed to get, I think, married to her. But before that could happen, he met a car accident and he died. And at the time of death, guess what? He thought of his girlfriend. And he was born as a woman in Madhya Pradesh. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavan Tyajate Ante Kalevaram Tam Tam Evaiti Kontya Sada Tad Bhava Bhavita. Sorry, I'm giving you Sanskrit. I'm going to explain that. What means is, when you're leaving this body, whatever you're thinking, Tyajate Ante Kalevaram. Ante means at the time of death. When you are leaving this body, whatever you think, that is your destination in your next life. So this man at the London temple, ISKCON devotee, he thought of his girlfriend. He was born as a woman in the next life in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. And he could actually remember his past life. As a baby, as a child, he would tell his parents, take me to London. All my friends are in London. Take me to London. All my friends are in London. And his parents are like, we are like middle-class family. We don't know, how can we go to London? And this child keeps on talking about London. And as he grew up, he started talking about details about his friends and about his devotional life, about ISKCON. And eventually, she, born as a woman, she started describing her life in London, and eventually they realized this is past life memory. And she was eventually recognized by one of the gurus in ISKCON as, he remembered, I remember you. I have seen you in your past life, right? And they recognized each other immediately. And later on, she was able to travel to London and meet all her friends and describe that, oh, this is what happened. I was a devotee in the London temple. I had this accident. At that time, I thought of my girlfriend. I'm born as a woman. And I remember everything in details. And there are many such cases of children remembering past life memories. And I'm going to talk more evidences about that in a short while. So in this case, depending on how you live your body, what you think, you get the life, body of a man or a woman as a human being. If you've done some amazingly good things, you will be born as Devata in the higher planets, or what we call demigod, right? Devata in Devalok, in Swargalok. Or you can be in Maharlok, Janalok, Tapalok, Brahmalok. You can be as high as Brahmalok. That's the highest planet, right? There are higher personalities than the Devatas, just so you know. And if you've done some not so nice things, then you might take the form of birds or plants or animals, right? Lower species, basically, that could be in this planet or lower planets. But regardless, right, depending on your karma, you come back to the human species eventually. You evolve back to the human species eventually, and you get another chance of, making a choice of going up, going down, or breaking this cycle completely. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Punar Janma na vidyate. Those who have taken progress in the spiritual life, those who understand Janma Karma Me Divyam, those who understand spirituality, those who understand my Janma and Karma, my appearance and my activities, would never take birth again, right? They'll come back to me in my spiritual abode. So this all is happening in the material world. Swarga is actually in the material world. So those who you worship, all the demigods, Ganesh, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, they were just like you in past life, right? They were Jiva Tattvas. They're not God. There's a difference between God and demigod, right? That's very important to understand. And you can also become one of those personalities. Those are positions. So right now, for example, there are personality who's the demigod for Surya Lok. There's a personality for Chandra Lok, right? You can be that person in next life. And not getting in the details, but Brahma is born, Brahma dies. And the Brahma's lifespan is 311 trillion years. That is only 100 years according to Brahma's lifespan. But in our time zone, that's 311 trillion years, right? And these demigods, they are also living for that long. So just like the prime minister and the cabinet ministry. So the prime minister dies, the cabinet ministry also is dissolved. So like that, when Brahma dies, all the demigods also get dissolved and they come back in human form or other forms and continue in this journey. But it is all happening for time immemorial in this material world. But there is something more than the material world. Please listen carefully. This is not easy to understand, right? This is new for many of us. There is a spiritual world, which is actually 2/3 of creation. In creation, 1/3 is material world. 2/3 is actually spiritual world. And our goal, Krishna is inviting us to transmigrate from this world to that world through the process of yoga. Yoga means to connect. We think yoga means to exercise, right? Yoga means to connect. So Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. There are many different forms of yoga. In Kali Yoga, the form of yoga that is the most effective is Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga is the easiest, the most effective, and the most efficient. And through that, through loving devotional service, so loving Bhakti Yoga, one can break out of this material world and not take birth again and be eternally in the spiritual world, where their spiritual form, eternal, cognizant, blissful, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat as in eternal, you don't take birth, there's no death. Vaikuntha, that's the spiritual world's name. Vaikuntha means no miseries, right? There is no birth, no death, so no miseries. There's no time, in fact. So here, there's always time. Oh, after this, I have to do something else, there's stress. There's no stress, there's no time, there is no death, right? You're eternally youthful. You're eternally enjoying with God himself. That is Vaikuntha. You're eternal, you're cognizant, you're conscious, and you're blissful in your relationship with God. So blissful or happiness, Ananda, comes from relationship with other conscious beings. Some people have a good relationship with their wives or their dog or their child or their parents or their grandparents, right? But the real happiness comes from relationship with God. And that connecting to God in loving relationship is called Bhakti Yoga. It's called Bhakti Yoga, right? So that's what the middle of Bhagavad Gita is. Chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 talks about Bhakti Yoga in great details. And Krishna speaks that in Kali Yuga, this is the easiest and the most recommended yoga according to his opinion. And Krishna is God, so his opinion is what matters, right? He's also very humble. He says, my opinion is Bhakti Yoga is the best. All right. So is this clear? Is this slide clear to all of you? There's material world, there's spiritual world, there's various 8.4 million species of life. You can go up, you can go down, but you keep coming back to the human form. And only in the human form you accumulate karma. Only in the human form you have the opportunity for liberation or moksha, right? Only in the human form. So this 60, 70, 80 years that we live is a very short time period within which we can perfect ourselves, achieve spiritual realization, and go back home, back to Krishna. Punarjanma na vidyate, not take birth again. After going to Vaikuntha, do we come back to material world? No. Punarjanma na vidyate, Krishna says. Once you go back, you do not come back. That's it. Done. You're done. And this is a terrible place. Just like prison, right? When one goes to prison, hopefully a good person will never want to go back to prison again. So for us, this material world with so much pain and misery and things like that, we do not want to come back again. When we taste that happiness over there, we're like, done, 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 never going back there again. How to cut bad karma in life. Coming. That's why I'm introducing Bhakti Yoga. That's why. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that you do good karma, you experience good things. You do bad karma, you do experience bad things. It does not nullify each other. You cannot say, okay, today I'll do something good and something bad, and they will nullify each other. It doesn't work like that, right? And what happens is you do good, good happens. You do bad, bad happens. Just to give you an example, when Dhritarashtra lost all his 100 sons, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he asked Krishna, my dear Krishna, why did this happen to me? I lost all my 100 sons. What happened? Krishna told him, Dhritarashtra, 50 lifetimes ago, you were a hunter. And there was a family of birds that was living in a tree. And you killed that entire family of birds, the mother, father, and the baby birds. So for that, you lost all your children, your entire family. Dhritarashtra said, why 50 lifetimes later? Krishna said, because in those 50 lifetimes, you're earning good karma. So you could have 100 sons. Having 100 sons is not easy. So to have 100 sons, you need very good karma. So you're incurring good karma, so you can have 100 sons. And that one bad karma came to kill your 100 sons. So you can feel the pain of what those birds felt, right? Believe it or not, it's up to you. But the point is, it's a good example to understand how karma works. We cannot understand it, but it is working in very custom ways, very specific to us and our activities. So at the same time, now Krishna says there is a way to burn this karma. How do you burn this karma? Through Bhakti Yoga, through spirituality. So when you have all these, so we have tons and tons of karma from billions and billions of lifetimes that we have lived. But with the power of bhakti, one can burn out all the karma. Now, it's not you're going to burn all the bad karma and keep the good karma. It doesn't work like that. You burn all karma, right? All good and bad gets burnt. Now, why so? Because if you have good karma, right, what happens is you're born in a very good family. So how do you know somebody has good karma? Somebody is born with good karma. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri. You're born in a very good family. Aishwarya, you have a lot of riches, fortune, money. Shruta, education, good high education. Shri, good looks, right? If you have these four things, that means you are actually somebody who has had very good karma. But the problem with that is you get very quickly attached to all of those good things. And those good things don't stay good forever. You don't stay good looking forever. You see all the beautiful actresses and actors, skin eventually goes down and you look ugly, right? So those are all temporary, but one gets proud. And because one gets proud of one's education, one's intelligence, one's money, one's fame, one's good looks, one acts in certain ways and makes bad karma. And then one has to face that bad karma. So bad karma or good karma, both are bad because both lead to birth. That means you take another birth to live that karma, and whatever that might be. If it's good karma, you'll get proud and do stupid things. If it's bad karma, anyway, you're suffering. So both ways it's bad. So bhakti burns all karma. So your slate is clean. Your hard drive has been completely cleaned out. And so you don't have to take another birth unless you have desires to live another life. Then Krishna will fulfill that desire. But when your hard drive has been cleaned and you are in the path of bhakti, then at the time of death, you don't have to take birth to live good or bad karma. You think of Krishna, ante narayana smriti. Ante narayana smriti. You think of Lord and you go back to where Lord resides. Takes you back home, back to Godhead. I'm going to share another story from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very, very cool. The name of this person is Ajamila. So some of you might know, some of you might not know. Ajamila was a person who was born in a Brahmin family. And due to certain urges, he fell in love with he was a good person. He got married, had kids, and eventually he fell in love with a prostitute. And he left his wife and kids and went and lived with the prostitute, had many children with the prostitute. And even at the age of 80, he had his last child. But luckily, he named this child Narayana. And when this child was around 4 or 5 years old, Ajamila was about to leave his body. And the Yamadutas came, and they were really ugly looking, as you heard. So the Yamadutas came and said, okay, we are here to take you for all the worst things you've done. And Ajamil, seeing the Yamadutas, was super scared. And he, Narayan, please come and save me. He was actually calling his youngest son because he loved his youngest son and he named him Narayana. But Narayan in Vaikuntha, the Lord, he immediately sent his Vishnu Dutas. Go immediately, calling me. The Vishnu Duta said, my Lord, he's calling his 8-year-old son. He said, doesn't matter. He said my name. You go immediately and protect him from the Yamadutas. The Vishnu Dutas came. The Vishnu Dutas, they're wearing gold helmet, 4-armed form, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. They look like Lord Narayana only. And they told the Yamadutas, not your jurisdiction. Just like you see in Hollywood movies, there's a local police working, and then FBI comes and says, FBI will take over from here. You guys can go. So that's kind of like this. There is the Yamadutas here, and there is the Vishnu Dutas. They come and say, okay, we'll take over. This is our jurisdiction. He said Lord Narayan's name, and we won't let you take him to hell. And the Yamadutas said, what nonsense are you speaking? This guy has married a prostitute, left his wife and children, did all these nonsense things, intoxication and all of that. He cannot be sent to Vaikuntha. You're having a mistake. And there was an argument. And, Ajamil is like lying in bed and looking here at the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas fighting it out. And then Yamraj personally came. Yamraj came and he apologized to the Vishnudutas and said, sorry, my Yamadutas, they are not well trained. They don't know the scriptures very well. It is absolutely true. The scriptures, it is stated that one who takes the name of Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, even at the time of death, right? He cannot be touched by Yamadutas and he cannot go to hell. So yes, this is not our jurisdiction. And he told the Yamadutas, back off. We cannot touch a person who has Tulsi Mala on their neck, or they've chanted the name of Lord Hari in any form, or any kind of devotional activity. If they have a little taste for devotional activity, they are not in the jurisdiction of Yamadutas, and they cannot be taken to the lower planets of hellish planets, hell, basically, not our jurisdiction. So Ajamil was given a second chance. Ajamil went to Prayag. He did his austerities. He took up to spiritual life very seriously and slowly purified himself. And at the time of death, thought of Lord Narayan and went back home, back to Godhead, to Vaikuntha. So That's a scriptural example. Again, believe it or not, it's up to you. But it showcases a few principles. The ante narana smriti. At the time of death, what you think is what you attain. And even if it is by mistake, he was thinking of his son, called him Narayan. But Lord Narayan is so merciful that he's like, doesn't matter, he said my name, so I'm going to protect him. It's my duty to protect him, right? So that's the beauty of bhakti, because Krishna is unlimitedly merciful, and he's more eager for us to come back to him than we are eager to go back to him. We have forgotten God. We have forgotten our home back there. We have forgotten our service to him. We've forgotten completely. We are in ignorance over here, trying to live the small pleasures of material life. But so much pleasure is waiting there, and we have no thoughts about it. But Krishna is kind. He's reminding us through scriptures, through sadhus, through gurus, that come back. This is not where you belong. You belong with me. Okay? All right. So if this is clear, we'll move on. Now, evidence. I had promised you evidence for past life memories. So actually, this was started by Mahatma Gandhi. There was this lady named Shanti Devi, if I remember correctly, who remembered her past life, and there was a lot of newspaper articles about her. And Gandhi just said there should be scientific research. And there was research, and decades later, Ian Stevenson from University of Virginia took it as his life's mission to research into children who remembered their past life. And he, in his lifetime, was able to document 2,000 cases of reincarnation memories, where he took these children back to their past life home, and things that could not be identified by any other person but a person from their past life were identified and was proven to be true, right? And later on, he wrote several books, and even today in Princeton University and University of Virginia, this research is continuing of past life and connecting biology with reincarnation. Of course, our Vedic literatures talk about this for the last 5,000 years. But unless a white person tells us that this is true, we don't believe it's true, right? We have been brainwashed that only Westerners are right and we are all wrong. Everything we know is mythology, and everything they say is truth. So for those of you in that category, here is some Westerners who are very qualified, very intelligent, who have very hard evidence of past life. And there was recently a survey done in America, where 70% of Americans actually believe in reincarnation and past life memories and things like that. If that wasn't enough, now you might say, but I don't know that, I want to experience it. Yes, you can also experience it. There is something called past life regression through hypnotic therapy or hypnosis. You can go on YouTube and watch videos on hypnosis and past life regression. And there are many, many cases that you can see for yourself. And even if you want, there are therapists. I can connect you to therapists who can take you through hypnosis, and you can actually find out. They take you from your current body to child body, infant body, in your mother's womb, and then beyond in your past life, and life before that, life before that, and life before that. A lot of people have phobias, and it really helps them to figure out why they have claustrophobia, or phobia of height, or phobia of fire, phobia of dolls, phobia of lizards, phobia of spiders. They don't know. People want to find, why am I scared of, one of my aunts, she has a phobia of matchsticks, right? So people like that, when you go through hypnotic regression, then you can go back to lifetime before lifetime before lifetime and find out, oh, I died of a matchstick fire, or I fell from a mountain, or I died in an elevator, and as a result, I have phobia towards closed spaces, or height, or matchsticks, or dolls, or whatever else it might be, right? So it's actually a therapy that is very widely practiced, and it can also act as a proof for all of you that past lives and life beyond this life actually exists, right? Ghosts and paranormal activity. So before I get into this topic, let me just quickly see what kind of questions you all have. Very true. Dilip Shankar. How will one birth and death being decided? I already answered that. Deepak Agarwal. Does it mean that even if we have bad and the deathbed we call Narayan, we will go to Vaikuntha? Yes, but don't gamble with life, because you have no control if you will die in a deathbed or from corona or in a coma or whatever situation. When you live through a God conscious life, that defines what you think at the time of death, because death doesn't come with the email notification. What you think at the time of death is defined by how you live. So they say it's like a movie. When you die, the last few minutes of your life, you see the entire life being projected in front of you like a movie. And if you have lived a life of sense gratification, that's what you see. And that's the kind of desire you have. And that's the kind of destination you go to. But if you have lived a God conscious life and you're practiced in remembering God, that's what you will remember. And Ante Narayana Smriti. Only then you'll be able to think of God and go back. Ajamila's case was a gamble. He got lucky that he named his son Narayan and he called out Narayan, but it might not be the same for us. So don't gamble with life. Live a God conscious life. So at the time of death, you can actually, get to the right destination. Balakrishnan Vijayan. Can we say that we have no control over what happens to us in our current birth, since God has decided to give us what is rightfully due based on our karma? No, we have full control. Of course, the circumstances are different. Somebody is born in a poor family, somebody is born in a rich family. Now, a person born in a rich family by default has certain resources, so things are a little easier. That doesn't mean you cannot do that. You can work with your circumstance, work a little harder, and still get what you want. Because every moment you're creating karma, what you have come to, what you have is from past. But what future happens is a combination of your current choices and your past choices, right? So you are creating your destiny by every choice, by every moment. So you have full control of your life. It doesn't matter that you're born, let's say somebody's born disabled or somebody's born something, many people have overcome their problems and still been very, very successful. So you have full choice, full control over your life. And what to speak of those of us who are in bhakti, in devotional life, then all your karma is burnt out anyway. And Krishna personally takes care of you. I'm going to go through the questions in the order they have come. I know you have burning questions and we'll have plenty of time for your burning questions, but I'll go in the order that they have come. Okay. Kaustubh Ahir. When we are in Vaikuntha, do we still have choices? Of course we have choices. We are with the Lord himself. We are supremely free, like Narad Muni. Narad Muni can travel from any place to any place, matter of speed of light. So we have that level of freedom. We're almost as free as God. And choices, of course. Shireen Deepak. Annie Frank and Amitabh Bachchan. I don't know what your question is. Pawan Goswami. Unfortunate that 700 years of slave have made us like this. True. Debashish Chatterjee. If we see the disaster karma done by generation 1 is suffered by generation 3 terribly, both mentally and physically, since birth with the body, soul, which are not committed any sin, disaster, how can such generation 3 person get relief in his current life? By coming to the path of bhakti, you can burn all karma, all curses, all problems, right? The more intense your bhakti, the more quickly you can burn through your karma. So it is absolutely possible. Now, there are some things called prayaschitya. Prayaschitya is a material way of burning certain bad karma. But bhakti is a permanent way of uprooting even the tendencies that lead to bad karma. For example, one is addicted to drugs. One might go through rehabilitation and get over drugs and be able to live without drugs. But the tendency remains in the heart. So if somebody, by some means, they get instigated 10 years later, they might come back and relapse into drug addiction, which happens a lot. Similarly, there are tendencies in the heart, right, that lead to more karma. Bhakti uproots the tendency completely. So not only your karma is gone, but your tendency is also gone. So you're permanently relieved of those bad effects and you live a pure life, it's gradual. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. Just to give you an example, my mentor, he lives in Chicago, and he has been practicing Bhakti Yoga for the last 25 years. 2003, uh, he was serving for Rath Yatra, Jagannath Rath Yatra, and he was serving prasad and working a lot of things. Suddenly, he just fainted in the kitchen. His wife found him, and they took him to the hospital. And the doctor said that he cannot be saved because his appendix has burst long time ago, like 4 or 5 days ago, and it has become toxic, and the toxins has spread throughout his body. He will not live long. So they cannot even operate on him because his appendix has burst like 3 or 4 days ago. So basically, it was over for him. Somehow or other, devotees prayed, and he has also done amazing service. And somehow or other, he got saved. He lived, and he's, by Krishna's mercy, he's still alive and doing amazing services for all of us. Now, the point is, later on, when he went to astrologer, the astrologer said he should have been dead in 2003. Guess what? He's still alive and doing well. He said there is nothing in his astrology right now. It's a blank slate. It's nothing, zero. He should be dead by now. His death deadline has gone. So he's in a whole different influence, spiritual influence of his guru. The presence of his guru in his life has completely destroyed all his karma, and he's no more in the karmic bank balance that he was born with of his past lives and all that. He's living a devotional life. So his karma is plain. So there is no astrology applicable to him anymore. Right? This is a real story. My real mentor, somebody I am very, very, very close to. So the point is, this is really true what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So through bhakti, you can burn out all your karma, and that takes care of things. How do we find the purpose of this life? And that's a journey. As you purify, the more you can hear Paramatma in your heart. They say the inner voice, right? Sometimes the inner voice is intermingled with the mind. But as you hear the inner voice, you can understand. As you get more clearer in who you are, because right now you're thinking, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a that. But as we purify, as the karma get burned and we get purified, and the spiritual identity slowly emerges, we realize what is our purpose in life. It's revealed to us. It's called revelation. Right? Like in the Christians, they say revelation. Here also, it's a revelation. So your purpose of life will be revealed to you as you purify yourself through the anartha nivritti process. All of these things we discuss in Bhagavad Gita class. Every Friday, we teach Bhagavad Gita. We learn Bhagavad Gita together, 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. So I will, at the end also, I'll give you the details. You can join our Bhagavad Gita class. But I'm giving you these nuggets of wisdom, right? But we go into details in Bhagavad Gita class, which you can join for free. For the rest of your life, you can join. As long as I'm alive, I'm hoping to do that. All right. Mangesh Borkar. How long does it take to burn previous life and current life karma through Bhakti Yoga? Can you please share specifics about the process? It's not a machine. It's not mathematics. It depends on your intensity of Bhakti and sadhana. Some people with very intense sadhana can burn it out in a year. Some people can take 20 years. Depends how intense your bhakti, your intensity, your sadhana is. Just like medication, depending on the intensity of the medication, you have the effect on your body, right? Too much intensity can kill you. So be careful. That's why it's important to have a mentor or a guru, somebody who guides you through the process, so you don't burn yourself out or you don't become too slow and lethargic. What is the purpose of life? And Narayana is everywhere. Narayana is everywhere, but can you see Narayana everywhere? Do you act like you can see Narayana everywhere? No, right? So the purpose is to come to that consciousness where you can see Narayana everywhere, and not only see, but interact with Lord Narayan or interact with Krishna in loving bhakti yoga, loving service, right? Like Mother Yashoda is taking care of Krishna. Radharani is, having relationship with Krishna. The cows, the calves, the gopis, everybody's connected with Krishna and loving relationship. So when you can exchange that relationship with God, that's what becomes your life. But we are not there yet. God is everywhere, but we cannot see, right? Abin, Mahadev. Only Krishna can help. How about Ganesh, Shiva, Jesus? So Ganesh, Shiva, they are just like you and me in one sense, right? Just like a minister. A minister has a lot of bodyguards, a lot of power, but they're just humans, right? So similarly, Ganesh, Chandra, Indra, Varuna, Surya, these 33 million demigods, 33 crore Dev Devata, they're not Bhagavan. They are, they can help us in the material world. You want a good car, you want a good wife, you want good health, you want this, you want that. Materially speaking, they can give you if it is in your karma. If it is not in your karma, no one can help you. Krishna is outside this material world. He is in Vaikuntha, Golok Vrindavan. He's out there. So he can help you because Krishna doesn't die. These personalities die, right? Ganesh, Chandra, like I said, 311 trillion years. That's the lifespan of Lord Brahma. And with Lord Brahma, the entire entourage, they also die. Next to Indra, for example, is Bali Maharaj, who's waiting in Sutala Lok. He's going to be next Indra. So already next personalities are decided who's going to be the next ministry. So the point is, because they themselves die, they cannot bless us anything beyond the material world. Only Krishna can give us moksha. Krishna can burn our karma. Because Krishna is outside. Just like Hiranyakashipu. He said, I want to be immortal. He asked Lord Brahma, I want to be immortal. He said, Lord Brahma said, I die. How can I make you immortal? But I'll bless you. So you cannot die by animals or humans. You cannot die at day or night. You cannot die on sky or earth. So Narsingadev came and killed Hiranyakashipu at dusk on his lap with his nails. No weapons, right? Half man, half lion. So you cannot trick God. The point is, Brahma or whoever else, they cannot give you something that they are own prone to. But somebody is outside this material world. God can help us get immortality. In case of Jesus, he's son of God, right? Jesus himself says, I'm son of God. There's God. So Jesus' father is Krishna. Right? So just like we have acharyas and gurus, so in our Bhavishya Puran also, Jesus Christ is being talked about. And he is mentioned as a prophet. I'm not getting in other religions, we don't want to hurt any sentiments here, but just to answer your question. Subodh Deshpande, is our life predestined? Our life is not 100% predestined. The circumstances are predestined. The choices we make is up to us. I've explained that already a few times. Kanika Ladha, how can we break karmic cycles? Through Bhakti Yoga, we mentioned, and I'll go deeper into it. How to do all the works that we are doing in service to God? Very nice question, Kaustav. So, for example, the food you eat, you can first offer it to God. It's called Bhog, and then eat Prasad. The house you live in, the consciousness can be, yes, it's your house, the deed is in your name, but it's temple of God. In your heart, this body, why should you take care of this body? Because Paramatma is inside this body. Your car, consider it a gift given by God. So everything can be seen in this material world as God's property. My versus is God's property. And because you see it as God's property, you take care of it in devotional consciousness. So it's a shift in consciousness, shift of mindset. It's not so much the rituals. Spirituality is different from blind rituals. We grow up in Hindu families seeing right hand, left hand, this water, that mantra, this, that, right? It's more about the consciousness. Krishna consciousness versus I consciousness, Maya consciousness. Saurav Agarwal, is there one-on-one ration between body and soul? How is population equilibrium maintained in this case? So like I said, not every person is born as a human again. There are only 6 billion or 7 billion human beings on this planet. Guess how many ants are on this planet? Just under your house, how many millions of ants are there? How many bacteria are there in your stomach? How many birds are there, right? So we are constantly migrating from one body to another. And there are other planetary systems from where souls are coming, and souls are going to other planetary systems. So it's not like it's a constant number. Constantly there is shifting, just like there's immigration, right? Few Indians go to America, Americans come to India. So populations are changing because people are shifting from one country to another. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Why we got birth? Why we got birth? Because we chose to come to the material world. Because we chose not to live with Krishna. We decided this is not the place for us. We want to enjoy on our own without God. And that's why we are here. No point going in the past. We are here now. Let's figure out how to go back home. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slides because lots of questions are there, almost 40 questions. I don't know how I'm going to answer all of them. I'm going to finish off some of these. Okay, so ghost and paranormal activities. So going back to this slide that I started with initially, you remember this is the material body, right? This body dies. But then there is a mind, there's an intelligence, and there's the ego. This is the Sukshma Deha or subtle body. This will explain better. So what happens is at the time of death, this outer layer dies out. The gross body dies out, right? And the subtle body moves from one body to the next life. Now, in the ghost case, what happens is somehow it's not able to get another body by accrued bad karma, accident, murder, whatever the situation might be. Due to certain bad karma, the person is stuck in the subtle body form, the Sukshma Deha. That subtle body is what we call a ghost. Now, in wherever you are there subtle bodies around you? Most likely, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are life forms everywhere, right? Just like there's bacteria in the air, there's coronavirus wherever, right? So there's like everywhere there's living entity. So ghosts are also there, but we cannot perceive most of them. Some ghosts are perceivable. Why? Because some ghosts have very strong mental power. So just like there are personalities who can bend metal with mental power, like this is called telekinesis, right? Where with just the power of the mind, you can move matter, right? As entrepreneurs, we experience this. We think of some product or service and we create that product. We make that happen. But first, it happens in the mind. Then it becomes a reality, right? So mind over matter. So in some cases, the mind is so strong that physically it can move matter. Like there are ghosts that can actually cause problems, cause destructions, move chairs, tables, cups. Very rare, but it happens. There are documented cases, unsolved mysteries. The point is it scary? It can be, because these ghosts are powerful. How to relieve them? So again, to give you some stories, when the Krishna consciousness movement was spreading in the West, we didn't have money to buy big properties to build temples. So sometimes we would buy haunted properties. And Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he would tell the devotees that, whatever the ghost issue is, just do Harinam Sankirtan all night long and the ghost shall leave. And that would happen. So initially the Beatles, if you know the Beatles, they were the famous musicians of their time. They were, one of the Beatles had an estate, very big estate. And there was a servant's quarter that he allowed his the devotees to stay, and they said you can do your sankirtan, you can do your bhajan and all in this servant's quarter if you can get rid of the ghost. There's a ghost there, so nobody uses it, nobody can stay there, everybody can feel the ghost, hear its footsteps and all that. And it was true, the ghosts were very, very strong. So the devotees got together and started chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And they were singing throughout the night, banging mridangas and kartals and doing amazing kirtan. And at the early mornings, the ghost, actually they could hear screeching out sound where the ghost went by, and one of the branch of one of the trees broke, which is kind of a sign that the ghost has left. And the ghost left. And like that, there are many instances where we have bought haunted properties for very cheap amounts. And by doing Harinam, I have personally actually done it myself. In Chicago, there was a property that I acquired for students, preaching them Bhagavad Gita. So once the property was acquired, multiple students would tell me that Prabhu, there's a ghost, a female ghost, and she's doing this and that. One day I found one of my mentees. He was 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting there crying, almost scared to hell. Like, he's like, this is what happened to me. And I decided, what, I need to do something. And so that room, I went there, I just kept on chanting. For several weeks, I chanted in that room. And as long as I was there was no incident after, that happened. But few years later, again, there were other devotees staying there who mentioned that they saw the same ghost, came back. So unfortunately, I was not powerful enough to give liberation to that ghost, but at least the ghost left. But the point is, the holy name is very powerful. The name of Lord Hari, the name of Lord Krishna is very powerful, and that can relieve of negative effects. And the best thing is, this ghost can get a better destination and can go to a better place and live, get a body and live their lives rather than suffering as a ghost. It's very, very sad, actually, when a body is a very difficult existence, because one is suffering in that situation, seeing, hearing, but not able to interact with people. It's worse than prison. Right? It's really, really sad. So as devotees, we should pray for them, we should chant for them and let them free. If you have any ghost issues, you can also chant Narsingha Stotra, you can chant Narsingha Dev's mantras. It also helps tremendously to get rid of ghost issues. All right, going back. So ghost is nothing but subtle body. When the gross body is no more livable, the subtle body remains. And if it doesn't go to the next destination, it is there as ghost, and it's causing, it's a painful existence due to bad karma that one is suffering. Mantras can cure it. Mantra means manaha trayati iti mantra. Mind release. It releases your mind, right? Or releases a subtle body in one sense. So Kritya Dhyato Vishnu. In Satya Yoga, one would do dhyan for thousands of years because they had long lifespan. In Treta Yoga, it was fire sacrifice. In Dwapar Yoga, it was temple worships. All the wonderful temples you see in South India, North India, they were all built during that period, Dwapar Yoga. And Kalotad Hari Kirtana. So in Kali Yuga, Hari Sankirtan, the name of Lord Hari, right? Like in South India, there's Vishnu Sahasranam. In our case, we Chandra, Hari Krishna Mahamantra, etc. So name of Lord Hari. And I was actually speaking to an audience, a Muslim audience in Dubai. And I told them same thing for you. Allahu Akbar, God is great. You're chanting the name of Allah. And that's the same thing. Allah means, greatness of God, which is Krishna means all attractive. It's the same God. It's not a different God. It's the same God. And chanting the name of God is the best and the most powerful method, the most fastest method that is given to us in Kali Yuga. That's the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So for those who have lost your near and dear ones, right? I mentioned a lot about the bhakti, but this mantra specifically, I can give you hundreds of shlokas from hundreds of scriptures, at least 21 scriptures for sure, that point, the Padma Puran, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's so many verses that point to this 16-syllabled mantra. This is the mantra that is the most powerful mantra. And by this mantra, all the karma can be burned. One can get love for Godhead. One can get the highest spiritual bliss. And not only for oneself, but for all living entities. For ghosts, you can do that. For your departed grandparents, your departed near and dear ones, you can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It actually happened. In Chicago, one of my neighbors, he lost a 21-year-old boy. He was diabetic. He took pizza and aspirin, and that combination didn't go very well with his diabetic nature, and he died. And and eventually I was invited along with my mentor to do Gita Path by the family that please chant the Gita. And we explained the philosophy, we chanted the Maha Mantra, and we said, you know what? Your son is not dead. We told the mother who was grieving, we said, your son is not dead. Your body is dead, but your son is alive. The soul is alive. And that soul can be benefited as we all chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together, as we are reading Gita together. When you do devotional service dedicated for that particular soul, that soul will get benefited and move on to a better destination than the destination he deserves by his karma, because we are all chanting. So you have control in benefiting your son. She said, please come the next day. We came the next day. She said, please come again. So 3 days in a row, me and my mentor went to that house. And these are all IIT Kanpur graduates, very smart people. They all came. Some of them were atheists. But hearing Bhagavad Gita, they got so mesmerized that we said we want to study the Gita. Until today, we are still having that group. Although I'm in India now, we study online. We are still in the group, and they're all practicing devotees, and they're chanting Hare Krishna. Because, when somebody dies, you feel helpless, that I cannot touch that person, I cannot feel that person, I cannot say goodbye to that person. But when you learn the Gita, you realize that the person is not gone. The person might be near you, you don't know. The person might be in some other destination and doesn't remember you. But you have control in benefiting that person. That's why the Shraddh ceremony happens. What is Shraddh ceremony? The Pindadan that is being done, that is basically food stuff offered to Lord Vishnu. And that prasad, the bhoga is given, the prasad is given to the departed soul. So thereby, the departed soul gets Krishna prasad or Vishnu prasad, and thereby gets benefited. So the bad karma they might have done that might lead to a bad destination gets diverted to a better destination, right? So all kinds of devotional activities that you perform for the departed soul. So when the 14-day mourning, or 11 days for some people, the mourning period after somebody dies, it is said, read the Gita every single day, dedicated to that departed soul, right? Chant the Maha Mantra, dedicated to the departed soul. So not just those 11 days or 14 days. Throughout I used to be very close to my grandmother. 2015, December 19th, she passed away. And till date, I pray for her every single day, wherever she is. I want, my dear Krishna, please take care of her. Please give her shelter. Please make sure she is happy wherever she is. And I feel so happy that I have that opportunity to benefit her, even though she's gone, right? And that's the beauty of this, that the soul never dies, and you can benefit the soul by offering prayers and offering service and bhakti, activities in bhakti that you can do, right? Especially chanting the Maha Mantra for the departed soul. So this is Kalishantarana Upanishad, which says that after searching through all the Vedic literature, one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age than chanting of Hare Krishna. So welcome to Bhakti. I will end here. So Philosophy Friday, like I said, every Friday, 7:30 p.m., all of you are invited to come and join and study the Gita together. It's a lot of fun. We go into details and we learn a lot, and we study together. We share realizations. So I invite you, please take this up seriously. This is one human life we have. Many, many lifetimes we have wasted. This is one life. And in this life, there's one opportunity to cut from this, death, old age, disease, the problems that we have when we are born in this material world. So let's cut this problem. Let's go back to where we belong, to Vaikuntha, to where Lord Narayan, where Lord Krishna is. You can WhatsApp this number and you will be sent the link to join Philosophy Friday so we can study the Gita together. You can also, I've made literally hundreds of videos on Bhagavad Gita on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Avelo Roy. Watch them. If you have questions, let me know in Instagram, or let me comment on the video and I will answer them for you. Or you can come to Philosophy Friday and ask me directly and I will answer them live to you, right? So I invite you to the life of devotion, to the life of joy. Please, please, please take this up seriously. I beg you. This is one human form of life out of the 8.4 million species of life. Not a single other species gets this opportunity, only this human form. So kindly take up bhakti, burn your karma, change your destiny, and be the best version of yourself. Be who you want to be. Because when you don't have karma, You can pray to Krishna, and Krishna can give you what is not in your karma. Krishna can give you what is beyond your belief, because he's God. So I invite you, please join us, and now I'll answer all your questions. Or I'll try to. Oh my God, so many questions. Okay. Very, very awesome. We drink some water. Lakshmi Negi, how can we say that he was lucky by chance? One way we are saying it's all about karma, the other way we are saying lucky. Okay, very good question, Lakshman. So lucky because bhakti is not influenced by karma. Karma is only for material things, right? You do good, get good things. But anything to do with bhakti is not from karma. If you do a lot of good karma, doesn't mean you will get access to bhakti. Bhakti comes from bhakta. A bhakta, somebody who's a devotee, gifts you bhakti. It is spiritual dimension, karma is material dimension. They're like oil and water. Karma doesn't affect bhakti. So you don't get bhakti. You don't get bhakti by doing anything materialistic. You get bhakti because somebody gifts it to you, right? Pawan Goswami, my opinion at last, take your Q&A, and till then complete your teachings. Okay. Does bhakti mean chanting prayers? Bhakti means connecting with God in loving relationship, in gratitude with love. Ritvik says, initially there was Adam and Eve, two souls only on this planet. How the souls get multiple millions? Adam and Eve is a Christian idea. In our case, this is coming from Manu. So Lord Brahma was the original being, and then his sons, Daksha, Manu, and all these personalities, they progenited the different species. But that's a different thing. I don't know where we are going. It didn't ask a question. Pawan Goswami, Krishna never favored chantings. He told, do the right thing. Where did you read that, Pawan? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, Krishna says, of all the devotional processes, I am japa. So Krishna very clearly says, chanting or japa is the highest form of any kind of rituals. Kaustav Ahir. See, that's the problem. We don't read Bhagavad Gita and we said Krishna says this and Krishna says that. Don't do that. That's not nice. Kaustav Ahir. Can a married person be involved in complete bhakti at the same time fulfilling his material world duties? Of course. I'm doing all my material work duties. I'm also teaching Bhagavad Gita. I'm a CEO. I run multiple businesses. I do charity. I do a lot of different things. And I also do bhakti. So it's very practical. That's why Krishna says in chapter 6, last verse, Krishna says, the most practical yoga is bhakti yoga for Kali Yuga. Raja Rajeshwari, can you tell his name? I don't know whose name you're mentioning. Achyuta Bhargav. Okay, Pawan Kushwaha. Same question of Kaustav Ahir. Okay, I've already answered. I want to join Bhagavad Gita group. Yes, gave you the number so you can join. My bhakti is constant for last 10 years. Still, general life is stressful. So constant, maybe you should get a mentor, somebody who can help you figure out if the intensity is right or you're doing the right thing, because you can be very constantly going in the wrong direction. Why is Kali Yuga Krishna bhakti is fulfilling, and what about bhakti for Shiva and others? I'm not getting in this whole comparison between Krishna and Shiva and all that, but the point is, in the Bhagavad Gita, bhakti is mentioned in a very specific way, and that's what I'm preaching here. Can you please mentor me personally? Of course, the WhatsApp number, connect with that. I'll be happy to mentor you. Kaustav Ahir, if you are in bhakti, you should ask for more difficulties in life. We're not there yet, right? When you're at that level, sure, but we're not there yet. We have plenty of difficulties right now. Don't ask for more difficulties. I have questions. You can ask your questions. There are 72 people who have asked questions. I'm sorry, I have to go through them in order. Achyutota Bhargavi. Sir, have to find whether taken decision in life, good or bad, before we get the result. Do it under guidance. Do it under the guidance of somebody who knows the Bhagavad Gita. That way you can make the right choices. Even in business, we have mentors, right? So even in life, we need mentors who can help us make the right choice, understanding how this world functions. That's what the Bhagavad Gita teaches us. It's a life manual, how this world functions. Based on that, we can make decisions. The difference between consciousness and awareness, same thing. Kanika Ladha, what is difference between being religious and being spiritual? Being religious is focusing more on rituals without the understanding of the end goal. End goal is love of God, right? Without that, you're shouting at everyone, why are you touching this? You're not taking a shower. You're not doing this. That's religious. That's not a bad thing. All I'm saying is be religious, but with a proper understanding, proper goal. That's important. Hare Krishna's answer for all. It seems so. Okay, Shireen Deepak. So wouldn't we accumulate karma by killing pests, mosquitoes, ants, bacteria, viruses? Yes, even by breathing, you're accumulating karma because you're killing certain bacteria by breathing. But the point is, the best you can do is reduce your carbon footprint, right? I'm a vegetarian. Am I killing plants? Yes. Does it have karma? So when I offer it to Krishna, that karma gets nullified. It becomes spiritual food. Prasad, it becomes spiritual food. That's when I eat, it doesn't have karmic effect on it, right? Otherwise, vegetarian food also has karma. Bacteria also has karma, but the point is we reduce our footprint. Krishna's not cruel. He's not going to count and see, oh, you have 1% remaining. Suffer for another lifetime. No more moksha for you. Krishna's not like that, right? Krishna is seeing, are we eager to go back? Are we doing what we can? In our perfection is our capacity. Are we doing our best? Then Krishna will do the rest. Why others, Ganesh cannot use the supreme consciousness? They are also part of supreme consciousness. So Ganesh and others, all respect to all the personalities, they have certain they want to perform certain duties. They want to be in a powerful position. We as bhakti yogis, as devotees of Krishna, we don't want to be a demigod. We don't want powerful position in the heaven. We want to go directly back to God. That's what our desire is. Somebody who is in Ganesh's form or Indra's form or wherever, they want to be in that powerful position of being a universal controller. And that's what they have received. We get what we desire. Not Krishna won't force us to go in a certain direction, right? What should we chant of Krishna? Already mentioned, Hare Krishna Mantra. What is moksha? Any connection with the number of days after death? And do souls need to wait for 10, 11, 13 days? I'm not an expert on that. And the soul, generally it is said that the time period from one body to another is 1 year. That's why in 1 year it is said, don't get married, don't do any festivities within the household. So Kala Shuch, is observed after a person dies, immediate family member dies. So 1 year is a time that it takes for soul to transmigrate from one body to another in our time zone. So that's why that time period. Can you share your personal number? I will share my personal number. If you message me on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, I will give you my personal number. Pooja Gupta, thanks. Heartfelt gratitude. Most welcome, Pooja ji. Thank you so much. Great session. Thanks. Can you please share why bad things happen with good people? I mean, I'm sorry. Did you not get it still? It's karma, right? You are good in this life, but you must have done something bad in the past. And that's why the bad things is happening to you in this life, right? It's past bad karma that's coming to haunt you, even though you're a good person in this life. And you might be a bad person in this life, but the good things you've done is the reason why good things are happening. And bad things also will happen because of the current bad karma. The person who's good right now will get good things in the future, but the bad stuff they have done, they have to suffer for it. That I thought that was very, very clear, understanding the karmic idea. Need to speak with you. Okay, anybody who wants to speak with me, I'm happy to do a 15-minute phone call. Just WhatsApp this number. I'll share this screen again. WhatsApp this number. This is my executive assistant, Sarvanu Bose. You can just talk to him. He will schedule a time so you can have one-on-one session with me. And you can also join Philosophy Friday and ask me questions there also, right? Bhakti Yoga 7 to 12. Prabhuji, someone, thanks, Radhe Radhe. I do ancestral prayers regularly, reminding them, sending them light. Okay, fantastic. Is there a book in Bengali to know the Gita in details? There is Bhagavad Gita in Bengali. If you need one, I'll gift you one. Just contact me. I'll gift you a Bhagavad Gita in Bengali. Manish Shah, can we not worship others? Is it okay to believe the worship only Shri Krishna? You can worship others. Krishna says, Yanti Deva Vrata Deva Pityanti Patyavata Bhutyajanti Bhutani Mad Bhakti Lavate Param. So you worship Devatas, you go to heaven, which is in the material box. So you're still in the material realm. You worship Bhut Pret, Tantra Mantra, you go to where the Bhut Pret are, hellish regions. You worship Devatas, you go where the Devlok. You worship, Krishna, you go outside this material world. You go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no death, where there is no time, where there is only happiness, Vaikuntha. So who you worship defines your destination. How to take the first step, and I'll help you. Diksha is a little later. You have to learn why Diksha, what is it all for, right? And then it happens. What name should we remember during end? Narayana, Krishna, any name of Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, Narayana, Krishna, Vishnu, whatever you remember, Krishna's holy name is important. Any name is fine. Any name of the personality of Godhead. In the name of Lord Hari. Kumar Jain, if someone chant as he is pray the karma, what about our memory, loss of money, peace? If someone cheat us, I'm not sure about your question, Kumar Jain. If you can ask again, that'd be great. Sonia Kittur, I have a confusion. What happens if a person follows bhakti, but her karma are bad? It will get burnt away, right? Your good and bad karma both gets burnt out as you go through bhakti. Relationship with non-veg and bhakti. So, in bhakti, we try to reduce our karmic footprint, right? It cannot be zero, but we reduce our karmic footprint. So eating vegetables is better than eating animals. When an animal dies, there's a lot more pain, a lot more karma. There's a lot of tears, a lot of blood, right? So it's a little bit more karma and less karma. And when we offered the vegetables to Krishna, that is karma is taken away. It's karma free. So it's prasad. And prasad actually goes in and brings out that real spiritual nature within us. So that's the connection. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. You can offer me a leaf, you can offer me flower, you can offer me a fruit, you can offer me water, and I'm satisfied. Krishna doesn't say offer me meat, right? So he's saying if you want to offer bhog to Krishna, you have to offer him vegetarian food. Shashank Nagara, this can be a topic by itself, vegetarian versus non-vegetarian. Does karma have an impact on law and attraction, or is it independent, our frequency with the universe? So the law of attraction is basically you have a karmic bank account, right? And with law of attraction, you're able to maximize that karmic bank account. Now, you might want to be a billionaire, but your karmic bank account allows you to be a millionaire. So if you didn't use law of attraction, if you didn't desire wealth, you might just get a normal government job and be having a normal life. But with the desire of attracting wealth, you might be able to maximize of what is in your karmic bank account. So your law of attraction is limited by the karmic bank account that you have. So accordingly, you get what is in your karma. You cannot get what is not in your karma unless, of course, you come to Krishna Bhakti, where Krishna can give you anything. Sudama, he was a pauper, he was a beggar. He was given the highest level of wealth that even Lakshmi Devi was like, please, Krishna, stop. I don't have so much wealth to give. You're giving more than I can give, right? That's the kind of wealth Sudama was given. So Krishna can give us anything beyond our karma. But speaking in normal way, we get only what is in our karmic bank account. Kumar Jain, as per religion, some people don't eat onion garlic. Why? Because onion garlic is in mode of passion. It instigates a passionate lifestyle. It's not tamasic, it's rajasic. So to have a meditative, balanced life, to make decisions in a balanced way, we don't eat onion garlic, chocolate, caffeine, nicotine, things that make us agitated. We don't eat food that agitates our mind. How to bring mindset of forgiveness. So as you come to Krishna Bhakti As your heart gets satisfied by love, reciprocation from Krishna, you become satisfied, self-satisfied from within. When you're self-satisfied, you are able to forgive others. You're able to let go of bad memories. You're able to let go of bad relationships and move on so you can accept a bright new future. Devtosh Jha, what all define good karma? Because my bhakti for the last 10 years, but still stress, as you said. Let's talk, Devtosh. Let's have a one-on-one conversation and I'll help you out. Kaustav Ahir. Being a devotee of Krishna, at the same time I'm chanting Mahamrityunjaya mantra to improve my health strength. Is it okay to chant? Of course, it's fine. But chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is also will take care of the same thing and more. Seema, how can we give 100% to every relationship? When you give your 100% to Krishna, you will be able to also, you'll be empowered to give 100% to every single relationship. Right now, our mind works like this. We are trying to do this work and there's a WhatsApp message and there is somebody calling and somebody this. We are constantly distracted. When we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's a form of meditation that trains the mind to be in the current, to focus on the sound vibration, the transcendental sound vibration. This practice allows us to be present 100% in the now. So when we are in a relationship, when we're talking to somebody, we are with them 100%. There's nobody else. We don't get distracted. We're like, I am with you now. The phone can ring, the doorbell can ring. I am with you now. So we do one thing at a time with 100% efficiency. And I tell you, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, this is powerful because when I need to get work done, I shut off everything. What would take me 8 hours normally takes me 2 hours, right? Makes you super efficient because I'm chanting Hare Krishna for the last, 12 to 13 years, probably more than that. And that has helped me give insane amount of focus that almost gives me superhuman abilities when I want to shut off the world, I can shut off the world and get things done very quick. That's why I can do so many different things, right? That's the beauty of it. Kumar Jain, if someone cheats us, he will be paid for wrong. What about the loss of the money, peace, trust? See, someone cheated you, they will obviously have to pay for all that, right? Their karma. You had done some karma, that's why you got cheated. Now, the point is what happened. Don't get hung up on that. Focus on the future. Do the right things so that your future, you don't get cheated again. Learn from your mistake. Don't repeat the mistake, right? Make decisions, take actions, do contracts, do the right things, be practical. I'm not telling you to forget everything and just Krishna will save me. Not like that. You do what you can do with your brain, with your intelligence, with your 100% ability. Jaideep Sarkar, doing bhakti to burn karma or going to Vaikunth is not selfish or impure bhakti? Of course not. It's not selfish at all. If you, at the end of the day, you go home, is that selfish? Vaikunth is your home. But you bring along other people also, like I am doing. I'm not trying to go back alone. Why am I doing this webinar? I'm trying to bring all of you so we can go together back to Krishna. Hundreds of us go back to Krishna together. That's bhakti, and that's Harinam Sankirtan. Saika Sahu, Hare Krishna, is there any video from Gita? Then it will be helpful for us to learn Gita in more entertained way. You can go to my YouTube channel. I have made summaries of each chapter and I'll make more videos. Uday Giri, today's session is eye-opener for me, Prabhu. Allow us to join your Bhagavad Gita group. Please come. You're most welcome to join. Hufresh Dastur, when you create a bad karma in this lifetime, how does one know if you are creating a new karma or you're paying back the bad karma? You don't know. But the point is, now that you know there is karma, do the right thing. In whatever your capacity, do the right thing. That will lead to a better future, right? Now that you know there is karma, but there's no way of recognizing it. Know that the karma is working in the best possible way. Karma is working in a very accurate way, and justice is being served every moment. Supriya Banerjee, dear sir, is there a conflict between modern science and Vedic science? And if so, will it prevail over time? There is no conflict in modern science and Vedic science for those who understand it. Unfortunately, those who don't understand modern science get blinded. Those who don't understand Vedic science get also blinded. But the point is, if you look at fifth canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the accuracy of interplanetary distances, the fact that, Varahadev picking up Earth planet, Western world thought Earth was flat. We knew Earth was a sphere, under, it's like an egg, right? We knew it. We called it Brahmanda. So the point is, we know how the universe is. We know everything about science more than science. Science is observation. For us, the knowledge comes from the creator directly. So we know what is going on here. There is no conflict. The conflict is for those who have knowledge. Those who have half knowledge, for them, there is conflict. How long should the chanting be? Start with 108 times. Well, it's called one round. Generally, people who are more serious practitioners, advanced level, we chant 16 rounds. That's 2 hours every day. But start with one round, which is 108 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That takes 7.5 minutes. Ashika Shah. Is there any specific time or specific state we have to do our chanting, or we can do anytime? You can do anytime, anywhere. No rules for chanting. But if you want the most effect, it is said Brahma Muhurta, which is for 24 minutes before sunrise, 24 minutes after sunrise. So 48 minutes of before sunrise and after sunrise is called a very special time. If you can wake up at that time, you can chant at that time to get the most benefit. But honestly speaking, I myself cannot wake up at that time, so I'll be a hypocrite if I told you to do it. But if you can do it, kudos to you. Definitely do it. But no rules whatsoever. You can chant anytime, anywhere, even in the bathroom. Unlike Gayatri Mantra, which you cannot chant loudly, you cannot chant in dirty places. Hare Krishna Mahamantra can be chanted anywhere. Cost of Ahir. I am working in construction sector. I am constantly in doubt whether it is proper to shout or exploit laborers because without that, the work won't happen. It doesn't give me good feeling always. Kaustav, in your heart, don't look down upon them. Don't look at it as lower being, I am higher being. Right? But in certain cases, you have to shout and yell, only then things get done, unfortunately. That is the reality. I have a manufacturing business. We deal with factory workers. I was treating them like Vaishnavas, and I had to face so much problem that I learned I have to fake being not so nice person. And things are much better. When I was nice to them, they came and told the other directors, oh, he is a young fellow, he cannot do anything. When I started becoming more stronger, and not smiling and being very fearful, now they're like, oh, he's ready to lead us. So some people, Shudras, it is said, like bosses to be bossy. And that is okay. You might have to do that. But in your heart, respect them. Be just. Be right. Don't exploit them. But if you have to shout and yell, that might be your job description, unfortunately. And that is Kali Yuga, what to do. Okay. Rekha Alam. Thanks, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Some experience video from Daily Soap Mahabharata. Please don't learn Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita from these daily soaps. Terrible idea, because they make it commercial. So they add all kinds of masala to it. You don't get the real stuff. They make Narad Muni look like a comedian. They make Lord Balaram like a half-wit. It's terrible. It's actually horrible. Don't learn from that. Come to Philosophy Friday. Again, I'm going to share the number. If you need one-on-one session with me, I'll be happy to spend time with you one-on-one. WhatsApp this number and Sarvanu will help you out. Join Philosophy Friday. Please learn this from authorized representatives, right? Like I initially told you, coming from the Brahma Madhava Gauriya Sampradaya, which has its roots from Lord Krishna himself. And that's what authorizes me to speak to you. I'm only repeating what I've learned from a 5,000-year-old Guru Shishya Parampara. I have no business making things exciting or masaledar for you. So please don't watch TV and learn Bhagavad Gita from there. Learn it from the authorized scriptures, from authorized personalities, just like you would do with any kind of education. If there's no more questions, there's 2 more. Let's see. How many times one should be reborn after how many lives? You will keep taking birth over and over again unless you get out of it. That's why I'm saying, make this life your last life. Take to Krishna consciousness, take to Bhakti Yoga, learn the philosophy, learn the reality and go back home, back to Godhead after this life. You will be liberated in this life only. While you're alive, you don't have to even die to get liberated. At the time of death, you will end up going back to Vaikuntha. That's the whole point. That's the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is inviting us with the Bhagavad Gita. Come back to me. Don't suffer in this terrible place. So we take that invitation, we learn, hear from Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and we travel back to Krishna. I wish you all success, all happy life. Please, I beg you, come, let's make this life successful by including Krishna, including spirituality as a part of our lifestyle. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night. Have a wonderful Sunday.